Hello and welcome to Spirit Sherpa, the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. I'm Joshua Radowin, your co-host, here as always with Kelly Spada, this transformational shaman and spiritual coach extraordinaire. Yet another way to do the intro, Kelly. How are
Hey,
you
we
doing
live
this
for that
fine
shit,
day?
man.
We do. Was never good at living off of, a script. So I
Yeah.
surely don't have one for this podcast. We are in the
Well, that's
flow
good
here.
because my ability to memorize shit sucks. So we're not going to do that. So yeah. So before we get started, just a reminder, guys, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have the ability to write a review for the podcast, we would love that. Thank you so much. It helps us so much in getting out to more people. And the so I was talking before we get to our topic, and we're going to talk about how to let go of the drama today, right? So, but before we get to that, I wanted to mention that I've been back in Richmond when we were living back there. I had built myself this little sort of wellness center in my house because of COVID, right? And so I had a shaker plate where you stand on it and it shakes your body and whatever, which was awesome. And then I had a massage chair, and we had a hot tub, and I had a sound bed on order, which never arrived before we left, so I had to cancel the order. But which, now that I think about it, I didn't have to cancel that order. I could have just let it ship here, but I could have just changed my shipping address. Anyway, I haven't finished my cup of tea yet, so we're just gonna flow with my brain going, huh, what? Okay. And so I've been thinking about recreating that here in Panama. And we've got I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a massage chair again? And wouldn't it be nice to have a sound bed that I never got before? And wouldn't it be nice to, I don't feel like I need the shaker plate anymore, because the shaker plate's all about moving your lymph and getting your balance back. And I move my lymph enough, just by hiking up and down these hills, and my balance is amazingly better since I've moved to Panama, where there are no flat surfaces. My balance is awesome. And so that I don't feel like I need. But being able to just I was thinking about getting one of those cryo bath things. I was like, oh, that would be really cool, right? I would love to have that, because I am not a cold plunge girl, but my body would love a cold plunge. But I'm just like, no, thank you. And cold showers are easy to come by here, but no, thank you. I do not enjoy that. But I did not mind stepping into the cold thing in one of the places that I went to in Richmond. And I'm like, okay, that I might go for. So I'm sitting here and I'm contemplating how to make my house a more of a wellness retreat center for me, right? And then of course, my clients come to visit and they would have access, but whatever. But so I could write it off. But
You can write it, but you can write anything off.
I could write anything. No, well, you got to be able to justify it. Yeah, you got to be able to justify it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just started going back to the gym this week. I think it was about last year I decided to, before I embarked on Walkabout, which I paid for a 2-year gym membership, and then I used it for 4 months so far. And
That's how they make their money.
Yeah, I know. I should know, because my cousin's the sales and marketing and trainer for a very large corporation that handles gyms in the nation, actually worldwide at this point. So he let me know. They do have good intentions behind it, but they definitely know how to keep the lights on. But yeah, I just started back this week because I feel that call. I don't know if it's a fall thing and harmonizing with the changes of the season, but seems like right when this comes, about now comes up, I feel that need to get into the movement. And for what it's worth, it's been a lot of traveling this year, a lot of living on the road, a lot of Uber Eats, a lot of like my body's like, okay, bro, you know, like you are not 25 anymore, and we're gonna have to do some shit about this. So, luckily, I'm staying with some friends up up north right now, and they have this thing that I've been using after workout. It's called a Shakti mat. It's like a mini bed of nails, right? It's like the little rubber, like hard plastic. And I will tell you this, laying on it is uncomfortable for like 2 seconds, but the amount of muscle soreness that just dissipates from this simple device. I always tell everybody, for better or worse, I will never recommend anything I won't try on myself. And that's led me down a lot of weird avenues of things I won't recommend for anybody else. But that Shakti, that Shakti mat is amazing. And I
Oh,
think you can get them pretty cheap too.
all right. Well, we'll see if we can find a link to one for you and put it in the show notes. So,
Yeah.
wow. All right then. Well, maybe I'll have to try that too. Jeff
Yeah.
just got
It's
this.
nice.
Jeff, oh, it's right here. I'll grab it. Jeff just got this back stretcher thing from Amazon, and
Okay.
because he's got some herniated discs, and so he's going to an orthopedic doctor here who just beats the crap out of him and makes him feel better. But in between, somebody I was networking with a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, had said that this had been really revolutionary for his back. And so I got one for Jeff, and he said that it's really good. It's sort of like an inversion table without having the inversion table, right? It's just enough to take the pressure off of the spine and to allow it to relax. So he's having a great time with that, and I'll ask him to find the link that I used for this too. And you guys, if you're interested, you can use that too.
I feel like we're QVC today.
I know, and yet this is not what we do. But if
But
we
we love
find
these
stuff that
products.
works, right? Yeah,
And we want you guys to feel good in
yeah.
mind, body, and spirit.
And so that brings us back to our topic for today, finally. Um, and what we're going to talk about is unplugging from the drama in the world. And this works whether we're talking global or whether we're talking country or whether we're talking your house, right? So, but we're going to mostly be talking sort of a gross level thing, like larger scale, right? And so, when we are talking about drama in the world, so the first thing I want to remind you is you don't want to engage a thought pattern you don't want to empower. So I'm going to say that again. Don't engage a thought pattern you don't want to empower. So that means stay the hell away from your fears, because your fears are the things that you desperately don't want to happen. But fear is a very high energy vibration. Not a high vibration, but a high energy vibration, high energy, low vibration, right? And it will magnify the energy of whatever it is you're afraid of. So stay the hell away from your fears. And here's the thing. So I hear so many people yelling at me right now. They're like, but I have to fight back, but I have to. Yes, I am not saying do not participate in protests. I am not saying any of that. I am saying do not engage in the fear-based expectations, because we are highly sensitive, highly manifesting people. We need to stop focusing on the shit that we don't want. What you focus on expands. You remember I say that at the end of most of you don't get to the end of the episode. But if you got to the end of the episode, every single time you would hear me say, what you focus on expands. Well, every single time in the last year or so. But that's what I'm saying. So what you're focusing on expands. So stop focusing on the shit you don't want to happen. Focus instead on the stuff that you do. And so the resistance, fine, you can focus on that, but don't focus on it a lot, because the resistance only exists because the thing you're resisting exists. And if you focus on the resistance, then you're actually empowering the thing that you're trying to resist. Does that make sense? because without that thing, the resistance wouldn't exist. So if you empower the resistance, then you empower the thing you're resisting. So instead, what you want to focus on is the other side of it and say, hey, we won. We won, right? We won. That would be a good thing to focus on. But not on what we won, just we won, right? You see what I'm saying here? The key is to remove from your awareness the thing that you do not want to pay attention to, the thing that you do not want to have in your life. You like shrink it down into the tiniest little piece like it does not exist. And then you show up for the things that are important to you. So you do not have to. So, for instance, if you're protesting the current administration and you don't, and you want to go out and participate in the protest, great. Go out and participate in the protest, yell and scream, jump up and down, do your thing. And then, but at the same time, while you're doing it, see that just disappearing. Don't like give it power. Don't give it anger. Don't give it upset. Don't give it fear. But just be sitting there, and every shout you make, you collapse it. You collapse it. You shrink it down. You send it further away. You make it tinier and tinier and tinier until you see it disappearing. Okay? Now, I'm not saying explode it, because explosions cause fragments, right? You don't want fragments of this shit everywhere, right? You want it to disappear. So we're just collapsing the energetic of it. And so that's the pattern that you want to get into. And I gotta be transparent here and say that I fell into it for a bit, and I was worried. I was talking to Josh, and I'm like, dude, are you paying? Because he didn't watch the news. He has no idea what's going on 90% of the time.
None.
And, I get all my news from TikTok because I don't watch the news, because the news isn't news anymore and hasn't been since the early 90s. But I do at least get the TikTok. And I'm like, dude, did you see this? I'm like, you might want to think about, fleeing the country or whatever. And he's just like, I don't participate in that. And I'm like, dude, I knew that. I know better, right? But he brought me back. So even I fall into it, okay? I just need you guys to know it's not a bad thing to fall into it. It's a bad thing to stay there, right? Every so often we're going to fall into places we don't want to be, right?
I think, like that situation in particular was like collective for a lot of the strong spiritual women in my awareness. For me, it was, and I just want to validate it. I mean, the things that are happening are terrible. I keep enough eye on it to know that I don't want to keep an eye on it, if that makes sense. Like I know what's going on, but I just choose not to let it be a part of my awareness, because I'm trying to create more stability within myself. And shit, I'm in shadow work with you. I got enough shit going on currently. Like that's my focus right now. Change me, the world, the external reality changes. The external reality shifts. But like I have the privilege of being in containers with such strong, amazing women, magical women, powerful women. And what I saw was just a deeper level of that witch wound coming out, right? Like this is, this goes back to the old days, what's coming up, and it's just a different layer of it, right? It's like, we know this work comes in layers. And like I asked, my spirit team, like, well, why am I not feeling it? Because usually like, me, I'm up for a little bit of drama from time to time. Like, a little less as time goes on. But I was like, why am I not feeling this? Because I used to be that warrior on the front lines. And the message I had received was, I didn't incarnate as a woman in this life, so I'm not tapped into that specific energetic as deeply, but I'm aware of it because I'm aware, and I can see it in my direct external reality. So, that being said, it's just the other message is really what you hit on in the beginning here, was that when powerful people are buying into the same program, they're amplifying that program. So what a wise woman once told me, what energetic program do you want to buy into? And I try to use that as, like, that's what really been one of those ways I exit from drama. I was like, oh, no, I don't like this. I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not my program. I'm going to, that Vesica, no, not the Vesica Pisces, Venn diagram of the circle of influence versus circle of interest. The two don't overlap. Yeah, I want everything to change. Can I do it? I'm going to work on myself and then work with the people in my direct awareness to help spread that. But to go after it all, it just doesn't seem like it's worth my time personally. But
Yeah.
I totally validate that that's other people's experience, because we need to express ourselves.
Well, and we only need 3.5% of the population to throw over the government. That's the statistics. So, they're not reporting it on the news, evidently, but they are reporting it across TikTok that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people already out there protesting. So, keep it up if that's what you're going for. Keep it up, because you're getting there, and don't invest in the outcome you don't want. Right? So, how do you do that? Because I can hear that now. So here's the thing. You know that you create your own reality, right? We all know this. This is a fundamental principle that we start from, is that we are the creators of our own experience. Now, interestingly, we also know that we are living in the eternal moment of now, where everything that ever has happened, ever is happening, or ever could happen is happening all at once right now, which means that the past can be rewritten. Isn't that an interesting thought? Because it's all happening right now. So you just reprogram it, right? And, what does that mean for this? Well, maybe it means that, somebody who was in a position of power to protect the people who shouldn't have been protected is no longer there, right? They lost their job. They woke up and decided they needed a better life. They, whatever, right? However, whatever, wherever, something out of the mix fell out, and suddenly everything shifts, right? That could happen. You could also have a situation where you're like, okay, I'm participating. So you can participate in the protests, right? And what you do is you also do your work on yourself, right? Because the protests are there. They're fighting against the thing you don't want, but they're also in some ways reinforcing the thing that you don't want, because they're protesting against it, right? So, this is the same conversation I have with people about rebelling, especially rebelling against your parents, right? It's like rebelling is still being controlled by the thing that you're rebelling against, right? That's the same idea here. And I'm not saying don't protest. I'm absolutely do go protest, because 3.5% is all you need, right? Get your friends, bring everybody out you can. But while you're protesting, be in a peaceful state. So you're showing up to be in a protest, but you want to be in a peaceful state. So if you ever noticed when Gandhi was protesting, he often was holding meditative protests, sit-ins, right? And so, get yourselves in a state of peace, because that's what you want. And when you have that many people together in a state of peace, holding against something that is antagonizing the state of peace, that is the ideal scenario for how you protest and hold your energy in a proper state. Because you're holding your energy in a peaceful state. One, it makes it very hard to come against you without public backlash. And two, it holds the energy that you're manifesting. And when you've got that many people out holding that energy, that is very hard to hold against, right? This is why peaceful protests are the only things that ever work, is because they're holding the energy of what they want. So this is another reason to make sure everybody stays peaceful around you, is because that holds the energy of what you want. And then you're envisioning the outcome that you desire. You're holding that vision, and you're believing into it, and you're calling it forth into reality, right? You're like, this is what I choose. I am choosing this. This is why there were so many peace songs in the 60s when they were going through that for the Vietnam War. They were using peace songs. Same thing here, right? You guys just want peace. That's all anybody wants, is just some freaking peace, man. And, a livable wage, and nobody telling you what to do with your body, right? Decent things, right? But that's the thing. So you want to call forth peace. And even if you don't believe anything I'm talking about, even if you love the current administration, you can call forth peace. And you can just call forth peace. If both sides just call forth peace, then something will emerge that will be peaceful for everyone. Okay, that's all we need to do. We need to stop letting both sides ramp us up to be angry at each other, because we cease to be rational when we operate out of our anger and out of our fear. And right now, if you look at somebody on the other side and you go, they're a moron, they're evil, then you are not rational and you are not out of your fear. You need to see the other side as a person. No one thinks of themselves as nefarious, no matter how you are positioning, no matter how the media is positioning people against each other. No one on the other side looks and says, I want to be an evil person today. Nobody. Okay, nobody gets up and says, I want to be an evil person today. They all do things from a righteous place inside of themselves where they believe what they are doing is true. Okay, every last one of us does that. We get up and we do what we believe is right. And our beliefs are shaped by the messages that we receive. So be very careful what messaging you let in. Okay, that's the key. Be careful what messaging you let in, because if that messaging makes you demonize the other side, it is not healthy. Okay? Do people do horrible things out of the belief that they're doing the right thing? Absolutely. It happens all the time. Okay? I'm not going to lie about that. That is true. However, they are more likely to do more horrible things if you do not give them any compassion, if you do not give them any sense of humanity, if you do not treat them as though they are a human to be respected, then they're going to do even worse things. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Some people are going to do terrible things no matter what. That's just the nature of the beast. But you have to decide who you want to be. Okay? And I'm hearing people going, I don't understand the wobble wobble. So I'm going to try and, there's no wobble wobble. Everything I'm saying is internally consistent. So I want to make sure that I'm clear that there's no wobble wobble. Okay. So as a centered spiritual being, you must look at the world and see what is in it and decide where you want to stand on it. And then do what needs to be done to stand on that side. Okay? And at the same time, you have to acknowledge that the other side of whatever it is also firmly in their convictions. And that understanding is a pathway to healing. That when each side understands the other, there is often a path to healing. Now, we are also dealing with some people who have been inculcated into a cult. And there is no rationalizing, being rational with people in a cult, because they are not operating on rationality and logic, they are operating on faith. And so when you have people operating on faith, there is no logicking the way out of the situation. Okay, so I want to be really clear that trying to do logical arguments with someone who is faith-based in their belief structure is not going to be productive, and in fact will actually cause them to defend more against whatever it is you're trying to tell them. Okay, so let's start with that. So you need to first determine if the person you're talking to is faith-based, because there's no point in having the conversation if they're faith-based, right? And if they are not faith-based, if they are fact-based, then you can engage in a dialogue and be open to them opening your mind to their way of being, so that they also will be open to you opening their mind to your way of being, right? Because the truth is always somewhere in the middle. right? Because both sides demonize and awfulize and whatever to try and mobilize the people who are not mobilized by logic. They're mobilized by fear. And so both sides create angst and upset in order to mobilize the people who are mobilized by fear. Okay? So this is the practice that you're leading into, is the practice of holding your own energy, holding your own power, not allowing your fear to overrun you. So I often say this in higher level practices here, which is that when you are ready, the demons will show up. And the demons show up, you are not a demon.
No, I was
He's
just
like waving.
I'm just waiting.
Like, I know what you mean is I've had the demons come, but you waved when I said the demons are here. I'm like, you are not a demon. Okay. So,
Let me be clear.
yeah. But when you're ready, the demons show up, and the demons are there to show you how to face your fears. As a collective, we all went into our hermitage in 2020. And now we are all awakening to a higher level. And this is the time our demons have shown up in this space, in this place of complete dualism. So I also want to remind you that duality is an illusion unto itself, right? We are all one. Those people that you're looking at and saying, you're evil and you don't know, blah, 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 they are you and you are them. We are all one. At the experiential level, there is none of this duality crap going on. Okay, so when we demonize someone else, we harden our hearts to them. We separate ourselves from them more. And what we want is not to separate, but to unify. And the way to unify is to bring yourself into a softer space. To say, I don't believe the same things you believe, but you are still me and I am still you. Right? To separate the beliefs from the beingness. Okay, and people, this is a macrocosm of microcosm issues, right? Because this is the same stuff you have to do with your parents, right? If your parents were not perfect parents, and there are no perfect parents, so your parents were not perfect parents, they were doing the best they could. When you can separate the person from the behavior, you can step into a different way of being with that person, right? And this is the same thing, right? You have to remember that they are you and you are them. And the belief structures are a problem. The mindset programming that we step into is hugely problematic if you pick the wrong one, right? But picking an us versus them mentality is just as problematic on both sides, right? So we want to be sure that while we participate and do the things we need to do, that we are maintaining the mindset of unity. Because that mindset of unity is the foundation on which peace is built. Okay? If you are in your righteousness, you are in your fear. Okay? No matter how righteous you feel, the more righteous you feel, the more fearful and victimized you feel. And that is not the energy you want to manifest. You want to stay in the energy of unity. Okay? All right, I'm getting a slightly confused but less upset response now, so that's good. I'm testing the field for everybody who's listening right now. So I want you to find a way to feel good about this. So I'm going to see if I can talk to you a little bit more about it. So think of yourself as a rock in a pond. That when you land in the pond, your impact ripples out to everyone around you. And your job is to make sure that your ripples are for peace. Your ripples are for peace and for unity, because that is where we are at our best. One of the things that I love about living here in Panama is that the community is so strong, that we are so tightly bound together, and that it is so supportive. We are communal creatures. We need each other. And so be the ripple that you want to have go through the world, because you are, whether you intend it to be or not. And so choose wisely what you say and what you invest in, and consciously choose your state of being, especially when in large groups. Because in large groups it's very easy to get swayed by the energies around you, because mom mentality is a thing, okay? Which is why it's good to go with several friends and have everybody holding the same energy before you walk into the crowd, so that you can collectively be the ripple, right? And bring everybody to you instead of them instead of them coming to you, right? So you want the energy to be the energy that you want to propagate. So energy wise, so for those of you who aren't on the Discord server yet, on the homepage at kellysparta.com, if you scroll down below the top section, you'll see join the Discord community. If you feel like you are somebody who woke up and went, holy crap, I'm late and I've got this huge mission and I don't know what it is, but right? Right now, I want you to ignore that requirement. I want you to just join the Discord server, because on the Discord server, I have been teaching people for months how to connect their energies and how to create an energetic that you want to hold. And this would be super helpful for right now, as you go out and you do your protests and as you do your work in the world as a group. And so I want you to go and join that Discord server, because all those classes are there for free. They're just sitting on the server. And then every couple of months I come and I do another class, okay? So it's just a practice session, right? So that we can learn how to connect our energies together, right? In a healthy fashion being the key word, okay? And so go and join that Discord server so that you can learn how to connect with other people in a better way. And for the next event, I will make sure that we do an event around peace, so that I have one on there for you. And I'm going to take this podcast, because normally we do these about 90 days in advance, and I feel like this one's too timely. I'm going to have Jeff pull this one forward and put this one out sooner than later. And we'll get that out for you. So if that happens to come out before September 23rd, which it could, there's a small chance, but that's when the next meeting is on the Discord server. So, and if you miss that one, there'll be another one in November. You can just go ahead and sign up for that. Okay. So, yeah, come out and get that free. There's probably, I think, 6 of them right now that are free trainings on there. So please come and get those. I really want you guys to have them so that you can hold the space that you need to hold. Okay. You have anything else you wanted to add to this?
I think just the little bit, one of the things was, if you went fuzzy through some of this, go back and listen to it again, because she just dropped a lot of very deep ways in which the ego has that kind of operating system that's currently working. And it might go a little floaty there. Go back and listen to this again if you feel that way, because there was a lot of really what's going to push this current dimension forward, that was said here. And I just wanted to, in addition to that, I wanted to say, if you've been overwhelmed with the political climate for a while, I mean, a lot of stuff's been going on for a long time, just disconnect for a bit, take 7 days, get off social media, turn off the news, get your vibration back to that place where you can take that energy out. Like, if you are a protester, disconnect from all of it and just remember the love that you have, right? For this existence, for your fellow man, the reason why you're protesting. Just find that center and then go out and use that energy from that place of calm, from that place of peace, like Kelly was saying. But that is what I was picking up on while you were talking.
Yeah, great advice. All right. And I think we're going to call this good for today. So remember, what you focus on expands. What you intend is what you create. So choose wisely, young Jedis. All right. Have a good one.